After a few weeks of test driving, well, sedans and, well, sliding into vehicles, this week I finally step up to what I like. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now behind me is the new 2019 GMC Acadia. Now we recently just drove the Terrain, and well, this one just delivers just a hair more. So this is the Acadia Denali, and one thing I like is, well, the vehicle's running right now and you can still hear me, and that's something that, well, some SUVs just make a big noise of. The Acadia a lot more refined, and that's because what lies beneath that hood. But first off, let's look at the exterior. Now we recently drove the Terrain, this one being the third row option, basically GMC equipping families based on what they need. And if you need something a little bit smaller, go Terrain. A little bit bigger, of course, you're going to squeeze into the Acadia. Now what I like is really the refinement that we've seen over these models, basically getting rid of chiseling and haunches and bulkiness and that Tonka truck like feel where vehicles are trying to be more than they are. Well, just harness what you know, and that is being refined SUV, and you can see it right down the tight body lines. Now I mentioned that I've been in sedans as of late, and sometimes you think, well, the sedans are so much smaller, but in some cases, well, it's just not the case, specifically even compared here to the Acadia. Now by the numbers, this vehicle measured about 193 inches, wheelbase fairly stretched at about 112, and those numbers are almost identical to a Lexus GS350 we just drove. So sometimes if you say, well, sedans are so much smaller and easier to drive, well, actually this isn't that much different. Now where it is different is in ground clearance. This being about 7.2 inches, that compared to a sedan which could be in the 5-inch range, sometimes creeping up maybe to 6, but this one definitely having a little bit more step in height. Even more so is the overall height itself, this being about 5.5 feet tall, whereas most sedans are easily under 5 feet. As for width, this actually comes in a little bit narrower than some sedans, just under 6 feet wide. So I get the mindset that sedans just feel smaller. In some cases they are, of course, but when you start getting into the mid-size segment, SUVs and sedans are somewhat equal when it comes to their placement on the road, but where they're not equal is in their elevation. Sedans are just lower, harder to see around bigger items. This gives you a lot more bird's eye view, and in some cases a safety vantage point. Now let's talk about some other safeties, and one of them being ingress. Just that is a safety feature, being able to get inside the car quick, whether it's raining, you're in a kind of an unknown area. And what I like, the Acadia does it well. And where it starts is really keeping the key in your pocket, and you're having access points anywhere you go. So when you get up to the vehicle, whether it be the back door, front door, whatever, there's a button that's going to let you in. Even more so, of course, is pressing that again to lock it up, making it so much easier to navigate just the everyday process of getting inside. Lastly is this area right here, another security, well, in some cases, weak point on vehicles, and it is the case here on the Acadia. And what I'm referring to is, well, this is just never locked. A real easy feature that vehicles can deliver, which is the lockability side, it just isn't the case. That means, well, this is exposed to, well, siphoning off, well, this priceless area. One other feature is it is a capless system, and again, I've moved away from giving an opinion. You decide what you prefer. Compared to sedans, we've talked about the size of this vehicle, and one place you can also compare is cargo. Now a lot of sedans are falling short when it comes to cargo, but what's great with a third row is, well, maybe this is the only time they can compare, because with 3 rows, obviously it's going to be a little bit tighter back here. But one thing SUVs can do is transform, well, to increase their capacity. Now first off is the design back here. You're going to see some chrome on the Denali. That's to be expected. I'll show you the most chrome, which is kind of there on that grille warfare, but chrome here, chrome down low, body color everywhere else, of course. Now what I like is backup sensors. Some sedans just not delivering the safety. SUVs definitely giving you that backup sensing, so you know when things are in the way. Also backup camera. Now when it comes to operation, what you're going to notice is traditionally I'd like to have a handle up here. It just seems to be at my nice height level, but instead it's down here, this little niche. Makes sense, of course. There is electronic release. Once you press that, this is Denali-esque, which means this is going to power up out of the way. Now once you open this up, what you're going to see here is around about 12.8 cubic feet. Now that's kind of average for a sedan. Some bigger sedans really going into the 15, in some rare cases even 16, 17 cubic feet, but where they stop is there. SUVs deliver the next level, which basically means this third row, of course, can tumble forward. And it's real easy here on the Acadia to simply pull this handle. It's going to tumble forward with ease. Even better, the headrest tuck away, one pull there, then lower it. Now what's great is that's going to more than triple the amount of space, over 40 cubic feet, as you see here. Now what I like is ease and flexibility when it comes to transforming SUVs. Now we saw how these back seats really fold down with ease, but how about that second row? I'm back here, I've got a big item that's really got to slide into place. I really don't want to go around there, so what they've done is made life easier, and it's right here in the form of these handles. Now they're just nice and tucked away and hidden, really kind of in a black adornment so they don't stand out. Chrome would have just been too gaudy. Now all you got to do is simply pull here. It's going to tumble that second row captain chairs with ease. Just simply pull it and it lays flat. Now with the seats laid flat, what's great is you can really see this flat cargo floor, and what you also can see is that these are captain chairs, but you can opt for a singular split bench here as well if you prefer. I like this option because it really gives you that aisle down the middle, as well as you can ingress through here. Now with all the seats laid flat, one thing to transition them back, simply pull on the seat back here, really locks into place with ease. You can pull on this handle here. That's going to give you some reclinability if you want to have some better comfort back here as well. Now what I do like is with captain chairs, you do get the armrest here for added comfort, and what you'll see is really nice sculpted captain chairs, really nice and enveloping, really gives you great comfort. Lastly is if you're here and you want to tumble them, simply pull this handle and it lays it flat. And what's truly great is with overall legroom numbers, 41 inches in the front, 39 inches here in the second row, and then 31 inches in the back. That means there's really no need to collapse these headrests at all. Everything lays flat real easy. So let's talk about ingress into the back. Now you can't go through the middle, which to me seems easier because it is so wide, really, with the amount of leg room. But you can opt to pull this handle here. It's going to tumble it forward just a hair. It's going to lock into place. Then it slides forward. Now the only thing to me is this still isn't just enough room for my 6 foot plus frame to really get in, but we'll try it anyway. Now the way to do it is really just kind of reach in, take your right foot, and just kind of gracefully fall into the vehicle. Now once you're back here, what you're going to notice is it does have, again, about 31 inches of space, and when this seat is in its furthest position, that pretty much means it's going to be a tight fit for an adult. But what you also notice is 31 inches doesn't give the full picture because this seat is fairly low, making the knees fairly high. So it's not the worst fit in the world, but traditionally smaller individuals, children, typically going to find a nosebleed section with bigger adults moving forward. When it comes to guerrilla warfare, Denali speak for themselves, and I'll let you just take a quick look because, well, there's not much to say. Huge chrome offering when it comes to the grille, GMC emblazoned, body color everywhere else, and cool, nice stylized headlights that just wrap around just a hair to the side to give it a little bit of added flair. Now also up here is going to be safety, front sensors, front cameras, as well as side mounted cameras, really giving you that 360 view. Now when it comes to horsepower, what you're going to see is a 3.6 liter V6 engine. It's going to deliver 310 horses and 271 foot-pounds of torque. The engine is also coupled with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Digital's where it's at, and it, of course, starts at LCD screen front and center on the dash, but more importantly, well, it transfers over to the gauge cluster. And what you're going to find is one huge digital readout when it comes to speed, with an old school analog tachometer on the left, so we'll let them slide on that. But what I love is that huge center display that really gives you lots of information, well, at one glance. If you're familiar with GM systems, basically you understand how easy and intuitive they are to use, and what I love is they're barely an arm stretch away. Now first off, on the radio side, real easy to use, nice presets down below and nice shortcuts up above. Now if you do get lost, just simply hit the home button. That's going to give you all the various apps, and again, real easy to navigate. Now you can scroll to multiple options, even right down to traffic. This system truly integrates everything you need to know in one big screen. Climate control, you're going to find dual zones up front with nice symmetric knobs for setting the temperature, as well as a fan speed knob there in the middle. Now I like this option versus other vehicles going with a push button, because to me this is so much easier to use. As for mode select, real easy to find around the knob. Heated seats used to be the standard procedure on most vehicles, but one thing that's really becoming the next norm is well-cooled AC seats, and even better is for both occupants in the front. If you're not an off-road adventurer like me, one thing I love is these dials right here. Real easy to use, really allows you to look at the cute little pictures and figure out, well, what is it I want to drive. Now again, this is an all-wheel drive system, but you can select from the 2-wheel, 4-wheel, and other options, even right down to towing. Now you do have safety features on this vehicle, to the parking sensors of course, and the lane departure. Now that's one feature I'm not a big fan of, so I typically turn it off. Now low on the dash you will find this little niche, little cavernous area where you can put electronics, nice rubber non-slip surface, slide your items in there, charge them up real easily. Now there are 2 USB ports, auxiliary jack, and traditional power supply. Between the front occupants is a nice padded center console, and inside you will find some decent storage. Now one thing to note is there is no power connection, so you can't store devices in here while they charge. Now one safety feature I've come to notice on a lot of vehicles is when the vehicle is locked, how do you get out? Now one Achilles heel on Nissans is that you just can't. You have to manually unlock the vehicle. But what I love on the GMs is the safety. Now what I'm referring to is the vehicle is currently locked. Pull one time, it doesn't open. Pull again, and the door opens right up. Now that does it for this edition of Road Warrior, and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2019 GMC Acadia Denali model, basically stepping up when it comes to premium grill warfare and room for you and all of your friends. And don't forget that this vehicle is truly measuring in some cases equal to the sedan you have. So if you argue that, well, these vehicles are just too big, well, in some cases all it takes is, well, literally stepping in the vehicle to realize, well, you can harness the power. Now as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.